Good morning, everybody. This is Gleason with Startuptrading.com. It is 9 o'clock in the morning, June 16th, 2020. Economic news this morning, guys. The blaster was the core retail sales with a 17% increase, which is like basically a 10% beat, and that is the best increase ever. So a lot of pent-up demand. We have Powell at 10 o'clock. And then really no major news events till tomorrow. We have CPI for the Canadian dollar. And then we also will have the building permits for the U.S. markets. Crude oil inventories tomorrow. Powell again. And then in the evening tomorrow, GDP out of the New Zealand dollar and the employment numbers out of the Australian dollar. So we are moving into the day here with quite an explosive move to the upside. And anytime you have this type of move, the first 30 minutes for me is just a complete and total no trade zone, especially for the indexes. I just want to point out, though, these levels that we came off of so we know where our upside targets are. I don't really doubt that we're going to hit these targets. It's just a matter of how quickly we're going to hit them. But we had an incredible retracement into what is a same anchor new high. And this is a level I had on. Unfortunately, we've been seeing this a lot. The entry was at 2 a.m. I really wish it wasn't, but the entry at the 50% at least was at 2 a.m. So if we go to the higher time frame, the S&P 500, we've been inside of this 2634 half anchor for quite some time. We traded it once to target. We traded it twice to target. Same anchor new high for the third time. Same anchor new high for the fourth time. Ran into its 50% retracement. That was a 29.32. It lined up perfectly with our previous highs. We had a daily leg start, and our upside target is 33.72. So another 200 plus points, and we've already validated this upside target by breaking through the opposing 61.8. We're opening well above that. Now, I do want to just be aware of where that 78.6 is of the range. That's probably where I had imagined we'd go first thing in the morning, and that is going to be, I know it's really hard for probably you guys to see, but it's right around 31.66. So I think we can even run all the way up there. Now let's go down to the smaller time frame here in the S&P 500. I just want to go over the next move that I'm anticipating. And yesterday at the close, really our best entry. So coming out of the lows, that 29.32. At 2 a.m., we had the halfway back right at the open, and then that extension from 29.81.75 to high began trading. And this was the first extension. Now, we have totally blown through this target, and this can come into play again. We can come into play again from the 29.81.75 anchor. That's why I have that marked up with the arrow. But the current extension going into the morning is going to be this 30.68 to high. This 30.68 to high. And this is going to be the first level. The 38% retracement is 31.22 half. This is such an explosive move higher. I'm only going to be looking at the 50 because it has a visual reference with the previous highs. So this 31.12 half area, 31.13, that is what I'm going to be looking for in the S&P 500. Moving on to the Dow, the anchor time frame is the same. I first want to go over the daily chart and show you guys what we came off of. It's pretty amazing. So there is this extension anchor. Actually, probably be better if I went to a 4-hour chart to show you when this began. So coming out of what was the bid on the 3rd of, at the time, it was April, we had a halfway back long. It was a little sloppy, but we blew through targets, and there was an extension from that level. It was once to target, same anchor new high, and then same anchor new high retested, and our highs were actually a negative 100 of that level. That same anchor to the new high is what has just traded here. That same anchor to the new high is just what's traded here. That is from 21,374 to our high. The level was 24,499. Our lows are 24,409. So you can see we actually came We dipped almost 100 points in that level, and that's how big these ranges are. I've talked about, in the trade room, if you're going to take a daily level, you need an hourly ATR stop. Well, an hourly ATR stop is 155 points right now, which is, obviously a massive, massive stop. Moving forward, one of the trades we can most definitely look for is a halfway back long for the week. I don't think that's going to trade today, but in these markets, anything is possible. The current sequence is what needs to be followed. The current sequence is drawn from the high of 25,753 to high. In the 50% retracement, once again, lines up with that overnight high. That's at 26,206. 26,206. So then moving on to the Nasdaq right here, we have the Nasdaq extension anchor is 97.98 to high. 97.98 to high. Now I want to go to the daily, show you guys where that upside target is. The Nasdaq is in its totally own sequence. The Nasdaq does not look similar to the ES or the YM. The Nasdaq is through the all-time highs. The Nasdaq, what I was pulling here, it was this traditional from the low of May. It's basically halfway back from May highs to June highs. So that's just a halfway back for the month, you could say. And we have just totally blown through. Those higher time frame upside targets are 10,533. 10,533, and we're probably going there. It just depends on how quick. But you see, when we come in these supports, it's just, it's amazing every time. It is amazing every time how quickly we get bid. It really is. There was a halfway back off the open that ran into an extension, that ran into a new extension. These were a little sloppy, but they've completed those same anchor new highs here. These are the setups. This trend is incredibly strong. The 38% retracement is 99.22. Now I'm looking at the 50 in the ES and the Dow, but the Nasdaq, I have more confidence in the 38 than I do in the other markets because it does line up with those overnight highs. It's not as aggressive here. So that 99.22 here for the NQ is what I'll be paying attention to. Moving on to oil. Yesterday in oil, there was this halfway back from the highs of Monday too low, and that 50% retracement had a great reaction, but what we ended up holding was this extension anchor we've been in for quite some time, and we're right at this negative 61 as we move into the open. So I would expect possibly a same anchor new high. Now, the extension here in the oil market, as we came out of lows, it just really began around, it was a 35.30. We traded it once to target. We traded it twice to the profit targets. And then in the overnight session, there was that same anchor new high. We came right into 50% retracement. That completed its upside target. We made a new high. We actually began a new extension. So that extension, I'm going to go same anchor, new high. We are bullish above a 37.92. If we get below 37.92, there's a possibility that we get a full 50% retracement for the week. But right now, bullish above 37.92 for oil. Moving on to the USDJPY. This market is actually really boring right now. That's really, really boring. I have a resistance level that's untested at this 107.78. But right now we're just in a consolidation. There's a halfway back long from lows that targets into that resistance level. So honestly, ideally, this 107.78 is the level I'd want to pay attention to. Moving on to the Aussie dollar. Now there is an extension that's holding here in the Aussie dollar, and I have it drawn up in case we do continue to rally. But the level I'd like to see trade is just the halfway back long for the week, and that is down at 68.76. 68.76. Otherwise, if we hold this extension, we can continue into the top of the range. That target would be a 70.12. That 70.12 target would line up with our resistance in the hourly leg start. So if we do get up to that 70.12 here today, I would expect a reaction back down to at least the previous high. Moving on to the euro, which just traded its full 50% retracement long here. We have broken out of the full halfway back short. We have broken out of the full halfway back short from last week's highs and lows. And after we do that, we do confirm those supports. And that's a 112.82. We're trading 112.25s. On the higher time frame here, there is this extension that I have up. Now, initially, this is a 110.07 to high. This has traded once to target, and then that same anchor new high came into play at its 38% retracement last Tuesday, so a week ago. And then that anchor drawn to the new high on Friday, we came down, we tagged that 50% retracement, absolutely tagged it. If this 50% retracement does not hold, I do believe that we're probably going to get a little sloppy, maybe get down to the bottom of the range, but this is a valid support level. It's a halfway back long after a break of the short. Moving on to the GBP USD, we are in a more aggressive sequence than any of the other markets. Now, for the currencies at least, we had this massive traditional, and it's a halfway back long from May 17th low to high. It's a 124.48. Now, that was front run. We've come up and we've broken above the opposing halfway back long. We've broken above it. So technically, we do have a valid 50% here at the 125.70. This is a valid 50% at the 125.70. There is a more aggressive extension, just like the Aussie dollar, that's holding from the 125.47. You can see that's where that bid came in. I do believe that this 50 will act as support at 126.17 if we come into it again, because we've retested highs. So we're going to range between the 126.17 in the highs here at 126.77. If we break out of those highs, we'll be looking for that 127.19 target. If we break below 126.17s, I'm looking for a move into that full 50% retracement long that lines up the area we broke out of. It's an hourly leg start. It's a 125.70. 125.70. All right, and then here we are with the USDCAD. There is this halfway back, and actually this happens a lot. These Monday, Sunday highs, for whatever reason, on anchors, they get ignored. So I'm looking at the halfway back from Wednesday to Friday's high, and I like the way it lines up with that hourly leg start. That's a 134.90. I just see the USDCAD kind of going back and forth between 135.98 and 134.90. I think both of those levels are solid entry points into the opposing directions of the trend for the time being. But that's all I have here for the USDCAD. And then for gold, I'm looking at the full 50% retracement long from the lows of Monday to high. Now, we reacted off an extension earlier, but we're coming right back down to this 123. It's trading right now. It's just 123.8. So there it goes. There it's trading. The current this is an hourly level for me, so the 15-minute ATR is 4.3 points. If we do not hold above this 61, then I would just expect gold to just continue to be sloppy. But we held the long yesterday. We broke out of the short. We're coming into that first setup here after the long break. Now gold's either going to continue or get sloppy, but the current upside target leads us back up to the top of the range, 1749s. 1749s. And then silver, the full 50% retracement has not yet traded. It might get an arbitrage with gold, but the halfway back long from the low of the prior day to high gives us a 1735. 1735. Let me go to an hourly chart. Should definitely be on an hourly chart. And there was a really nice clean move that lines up with the highs we broke out of. So I do like this 1735 level here in SI. And then as far as the VIX goes, we're just, I mean, there was the extension, the double top, and the breakdown. We had a low from 39.17 to low that traded yesterday. That same anchor, let's see, we're going to have a new extension in the VIX from 34.04 to low. The VIX, if the ES and all the indexes are going to hold their most aggressive extensions, the VIX needs to stay below that 33.10s. All right, so really just, paying attention to the continuation sequence here in these indexes. They're all in very aggressive setups. They're in very, very aggressive setups. But that's important here today. If this gold level holds its support, that's also important here today. But that's going to wrap up my morning trade plan. I'll share my levels with everybody in the trade room. If you're interested in joining, check out the link below. I also have a free course you can join if you're brand new to futures trading to learn a little bit about it. Everybody trade safe and have a great day. Take care.